Hey everyone, this is the Cow Corner, your cricket podcast. I'm your host Prashant and I'm here with Siddharth today. Jatan actually is taking care of some really important things that needs his time and attention. So all the best, Jatan. This is our episode number 33. And in this episode, as we had promised last time, we are going to talk about the associate teams or the affiliate teams as opposed to full member and blah, blah, blah. So we're going to get a little bit into a history. And I know, Siddharth, we have some plan about how all the things we want to discuss and talk about. This, loaded episode. If you're cool with it, Siddharth, I want to just get a little bit into the history of cricket, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
And I think way back in many episodes ago, we had said, when did it all begin and how was cricket started and where did it start, blah, blah. And I don't want to go, I can go like almost 300 years back.
Whoa.
Close to 250 years, right? And I think recently it's the 150th anniversary of Test cricket. So, as we know, Mecca of cricket is Lord's. So in like 1787, MCC was formed, and cricket obviously was played even before that. 1864 is a bit important year. That's when W.G. Grace, if you have heard about him, he's one of those, I don't know if larger than life is even, anywhere close to describe what he was. He thought people came to just watch him play and bat and didn't even bother. Even when given out, there was, the legend goes that he refused to leave the field and he told the umpire, hey, people are here to watch me bat and not see you give me out, things like that. So Test cricket itself has been going around for a long time. But, it kind of, 1864 again was a critical year. Interesting things started happening there. Funnily, the first test match or international match, I should say, was between Canada and USA. We had talked about that a long time ago.
Mm.
And both of them are associate teams now, or associate nation. You go figure. But again, because of the influence of England on all these countries, and that's how cricket spread. It started from England and went everywhere. I guess the British folks went. So coming back to the modern ICC based cricket, or ICC managed cricket, if I can say that. Now it's called International Cricket Council, right? Originally, ICC actually was Imperial Cricket Conference. That's what it was. It was named Imperial Cricket Conference. In 1909, the first 3 teams to be the full members, and just like with any new clubs and membership, they were the first 3 full member teams for ICC were England, Australia, and South Africa. Those were the first 3, you can say, founding members. Then, and this is 20th century, we're talking about, right? 20th, beginning, 1909, moving forward. Then, in about 1930s, 1920s, 1930s, before World War, West Indies, New Zealand, and India, and then about 20 years later, about 1950s, Pakistan got added. So as we had talked about this, Siddharth, before, you, Jatan, and I, we represent 3 different generations. For me, those 7 are like the full member still in my head.
What 7 would those be?
So, England, Australia, South Africa, West Indies, New Zealand, India, and Pakistan. Okay. So every time we say associate teams and associate members, I think about Sri Lanka, believe it or not. Because when I was growing up and I was little, Sri Lanka wasn't a full member team, so to say, or full status member. They were an associate. So if you're playing with Sri Lanka, your test matches weren't like 5 days. They were like 4 days. Things like that. In late 1900s, you had Sri Lanka, then Zimbabwe, and then Bangladesh joined the full member. And the fundamental difference between an associate team and a full member is how developed cricket is in your country. Do you have a domestic tournaments? Like, how much invested are you? And it's a bit of a catch-22 actually, if I can get philosophical here, because in some cases, if you don't provide enough support, the cricket isn't going to get developed, and then you won't get the full member status, right? So it's a little bit of a catch-22. And during our World Cup discussion, we had said how we strongly feel more opportunity should be given to some of those associate members, so that they become full members. And if you become full members, then you get to play test matches, right? That's a fundamental difference. And there are actually specific requirements that a country or a board or a cricket in that country needs to follow in order to qualify for a full membership. But bottom line, if you're a full member team, you get to play test matches. Which is a funny thing, because the popular format.
There are also some other benefits, right?
Yeah, definitely. But
you get a voting power on the board as well.
Correct.
So
right.
You get to influence, the direction of cricket, at least from the ICC. I mean, we know the BCCI, like certain cricketing boards, certain governing bodies for cricket of a country, right? So that's the letter of the law says governing bodies for cricket of a country, right? So both associate members and full members have these governing bodies, right? It's about, like Baba has been saying, how well cricket is supported, because only those countries get to play test matches and have the voting power to influence the future of cricket globally. So, I think it's funny, because I wonder how much that's worth to many countries, right? So there are, only 12 full member countries, right? As you've mentioned, but there are over 94 associate members, or around 94 associate members, right? 9 of which made it to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think just very, associate members, if they're about T20 cricket, right? If that's what the moneymaker is for them, then maybe Test cricket isn't really something that they really care about, right?
Yeah.
So who cares about being a full member?
So that's so interesting, because I was, as we were discussing this, Siddharth, I'm thinking there's got to be some really tangible benefits for a country or the board in that country to push for full membership.
So I don't think it's about the money, right? I think it's about status, which is great.
Correct.
It's about clout.
Yeah. Is how can you influence how cricket is getting developed? Can you impact change, right?
Yeah,
can you
that's
push
what
for
it's
change?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly. And I do remember that in one of our episodes, we were discussing when, Bangladesh, as an example, said, hey, we're going to not play the tournament. I think one of your points was, it's their job also. If you're a full member, which Bangladesh is now, since the 2000, their job actually is to promote
the
cricket.
Tournament. Yeah.
Promote cricket, right? It's your job. It's to sell tickets. It's to bring money, right? Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do. And I never looked at it that way, but that's the point you had brought up, Siddharth, to say, don't just say, hey, don't show tantrums and say, I'm not going to play.
Right.
You're almost obligated.
I mean, I think something interesting you said is that India joined did you say that India joined the ICC as a full member before they were independent as a nation?
Yeah.
So I think that kind of speaks to how these cricketing boards, of course, now are so tight with the government, right? But they don't really represent just state interests, right? They represent the interest of the nation in the sport of cricket, which I think is beautiful. And we should continue being like that. Yeah.
What you just said, Siddharth, seriously gave me goosepimples. It's goosebumps, because this is about sport, and we had said even before, is it possible for us to create this world or a bubble where these players are just thinking about playing cricket and competing and representing country, though not as a nationalist?
Yeah.
You're representing a nation, but not in a way that says my only goal. Like, we are kind of almost feeling bad about if Pakistan is thinking their only goal is to beat India. It is kind of sad. Come on. This is more than that.
It's like the attitude isn't to show that your nation is the greatest, right? It's to show what the greatest in your nation are capable of, right?
Yeah.
It's to be proud. If you're proud of your country, right? If you're proud of the people of your country, you'll take pride in being one of the 11 people who get to step on that pitch. And that's what it's really about. Not about showing that your country's the best. Yeah,
12 actually, because the 12th man also brings water and towel. So the latest additions to the full member, because as we move into the 21st century, Kenya, Ireland, Afghanistan, and Netherlands have been in that scene of potential to become full member. I mean, I clearly remember Kenya being on the scene a lot, talked about a lot, expected a lot from Kenya. So
I remember when I was a kid. Yeah,
you do, right? Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. And then Ireland, Afghanistan, and Netherlands. Of those four, though, two of them are now full member, right? Ireland and Afghanistan are, but not Kenya and Netherlands. So I think that kind of completes the 12 full member. And again, there are a lot of privileges. The from a pure status or pride perspective, you can play a proper test match.
Yeah, and you can influence cricket.
And you can influence cricket. Yeah,
Those are the two things. I mean,
exactly.
People care about them.
Yeah, so we can move on.
Yeah, so I mean, for this part, we're going to introduce our show's Associate 11, and then discuss some of the players that are in the 11 and some players who maybe missed out but left a great impression on us, right? So
yep.
I think I'll take it away.
Please.
So for us, opening, we'd have Yuvraj Samra and Michael Jones from Canada and Scotland, respectively. Yuvraj Samra scored 144 runs, and Michael Jones scored 142. Obviously, Yuvraj's huge innings of 100, propelling him to 144. So, great job by them. Then, the middle order is actually where I think this team is the strongest. In terms of the wicketkeeper captain, Scott Edwards being at the heart of everything, but also in terms of just the quality of batting as well as the all-around ability that they bring. So at number 3, we have Bastillade. Took 5 wickets, but of course, great batsman, 158 runs at 32.5 and 130 strike rate. Then we have Ben Manenti from Italy. Very, very, very impressive tournament by him, especially after Italy lost its captain Wayne Mattson. Ben Manenti, who's in fact the older brother of the Manenti brothers. He, also took 5 wickets. Scored 138 runs in 3 innings with an average of 53.6 and a strike rate of 160.
Wow.
Then we have the Nepali phenom, Dipendra Singh Airi. 169 runs, average of 56.33, average of 144. Didn't get much done with the ball with only 2 wickets, but an extremely, extremely good batsman. I think he had the most runs by any associate player, so of course he was going to be in that number 5 Then Scott Edwards, who would be the wicketkeeper and the captain of this squad, didn't have the most impressive tournament. Only had 90 runs, 91 runs. But as a captain, as a wicketkeeper, he's an exceptional player. So, and of course, the middle order is already doing quite well with those three names ahead of him. Then finishing it off at number 7, we have Shubham Ranjane from the USA.
Yeah.
141 runs, average of 35, strike rate of 138. Finally, the bowlers, Shedley Van Schalkwyk, 13 wickets. Junaid Siddiqui from the UAE. Obviously, UAE didn't perform that well, but he flew under the radar a bit with 7 wickets to his name. And I think he's a great fast bowler also. Just plays for the wrong team, sadly. Then we have Michael Lesk from Scotland with 9 wickets. And then Krishan Kulagamage from Italy. Kulagamage from Italy with 7 wickets. So 2 Italians making our associate World 11. And then the 12th man being Gerhard Erasmus, who, while being pretty unimpressive with the bat, took 7 wickets, 4 of which came against India, right? So who could forget that performance? So I think very interesting 11. I mean, to me, the openers are kind of a weak link in this 11. The middle order, obviously Bastillade, Ben Menenti, Dipendra Singh, Scott Edwards, all having, pretty decent, good tournaments and pretty good players, highly rated players. And even the bowlers, all look pretty formidable, especially Van Schalkwyk. So a decent team, but definitely some weaknesses in there.
Yeah, actually, I agree with almost all of them. The thing I want to talk about is one of the players, bowlers I saw from US, Harmeet Singh.
Mm-hmm. He was on my short list too.
Okay, interesting. Because I don't have his stats
he took
available
7
to me
wickets.
right now.
I forgot.
But his bowling was really, especially match against India, really crafty bowler. So really promising. So I'm just curious that it depends on which team you're on and who's playing around you. Right, he seemed like a really good bowler, even in power play, if I remember correctly. Actually, he was really economical, but also showed ability to take wickets. So I would think him. Funny thing is Monank Patel, right, USA captain, who's been around for a while, didn't have a good World Cup actually. Not impressive, right? Much. So I don't know captain wise, Siddharth. Instead of Scott Edwards, I would wonder whether you would pick Monank Patel just as a captain, experienced captain,
and he can keep as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just curious whether instead of Scott Edwards you would keep Monank.
Yeah, I mean I think it's possible we could bring in Monank. I think we can probably bring in another middle order batsman or another all rounder instead. Right, we'll probably open with Monank as well. Maybe Michael Jones misses out, but yeah, possibly. He didn't have a great tournament though. I did base this on mostly this tournament.
I think which is fair.
Otherwise, Yuvraj Samra, right, probably would not have made this 11. And someone like Monank or Andreas Goose, someone like them might have instead made it. And then, of course, Gerhard Erasmus might have made the 11 rather than being the 12th man. Ali Khan as well from the USA is a good bowler, plays in the CPL very consistently. So yeah, there are a lot of good players in the associate world that.
The other actually disappointing, and I know we're not picking the loser section here, but if you were to have a loser section, Saurav Netravalkar had such a big splash last World Cup, right? Lot of name around him. Actually got hit quite a bit. Actually, a match against India, I think he gave away a lot of runs. Didn't do much afterwards. We didn't hear much about Netravalkar, which is kind of disappointing because lot of talk about Netravalkar in 2024, And we did end up, we did watch him bowl live when we watched India-USA match in that World Cup. And he was very, very, very promising. So, but didn't really have a big World Cup. So I would say he kind of lost out in being, at least on our associate 11, right?
Yeah. I mean, one thing that's, I think, great about this 11 that we've come up with is, I mean, in the heart of your middle order, you just have 3 solid all-rounders.
Yeah.
And Delayed, Manenti, and Ayuri. And that is, like, such a game changer when you know that associate level bowlers aren't maybe going to stack up against the best batsman, right? You need that little bit of options, right, when things get tough. So they're both. It's a good variety too. Yeah. Two spinners and 1 pacer, right, in terms of the all-rounders. So
you're saying the associate team won't have the 5th or the 6th bowler problem, like our world champions. I feel. Problem. I don't want to get.
No, they will have a 5th bowler problem. At least the 11 that I've selected. There is no 5th bowler. There are only 4 specialist bowlers, and then the 5th bowler would be rotated amongst the 3.
That's what I mean, though. They have 3 solid options to come up to make up 4th and 5th
and 6th,
and potentially 6th bowler. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, those are the things. There's another player from UAE. That I was actually looking at, Alishan Sharafu.
Yeah, he was also someone I considered, but I think his strike rate in this tournament was far too low. I think, I considered him, but I think he also comes in at number 3, and I think he comes in at number 3 generally. So I don't think he was good enough to be in this middle order. Really?
See, that's the challenge though, right, Siddharth, of trying to create a combined across teams playing 11 is a lot of, at times some players miss out because they compete with another player at that position and not everybody can be moved up and down, right? That's the challenge. Okay. I mean, I think so overall. Maybe, do you want to just go over your 11 again, start to finish? Yep.
Yeah, sure. So just to top it off, we have Yuvraj Samra, Michael Jones, Bastelaide, Ben Manenti, Dipendra Singh Ayuri, Scott Edwards, keeping captain, or, maybe Monank Patel instead, Shubham Ranjane, then from the bowlers, Shedley Van Skalkwyk, Junaid Siddiqui, Michael Lesk, Christian Kulagamage, and then the 12th man, Gerhard Erasmus, who could probably slide in at that number 7 spot as well.
Awesome. And I'm surprised you call Van Skalkwyk.
Skalkwyk? I think it's either way is fine.
No, Skalkwyk, right? You used to say scalps.
Yes.
We used to say how many wicket. That actually is it's kind of where Netravalkar was last World Cup, right? As a pacer from USA, doing really well. And he bowled really well, actually.
The next thing we wanted to talk about was what we feel the associate teams can do, or how full member teams can support associate teams to continue improving. Baba, do you want to give your thoughts on this first?
I think simplest thing is just play with them more. I mean, just give them more opportunity. I'm stating the obvious, but find time in your schedule, because again, it's easier said than done, but all these big teams have their calendars full and they want to play against each other because that's where the money is. But find opportunity. And if you can't have your A team play with them, find your B team, quote unquote. And B team
totally helps the development of the fringe players, right? I think.
Yeah, and a lot of, I'm sure, India's or any of those top 10, 8 or 9 teams, their B team would be, I mean, at least I will say top 4, maybe not all of them, but top 4. If their B team would be actually really, really strong, because there are a lot of players that miss out just because you can only have 15 players in a squad. So if not A, B team, sure, IPL provides that opportunity, but even that it's hard to get in IPL, right? All the top players are there. I would just say have more opportunity in just sending even your B squad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's obviously great. I think the incentive for big teams is for them to develop their fringe players, right? Instead of them getting cold, right? You think about even in tests, right?
Yeah.
Indian spinners when they're playing, like you think about Ashwin not playing, right, in that World Test Championship final,
Come on, yeah.
and like he was just sitting around and like for years almost it felt like there would always be spinners who weren't playing, who wouldn't be giving. Kuldeep Yadav, right? Yuzvendra Chahal, these sorts of players who were very good spinners who just couldn't make the Test 11. They could have been developed into Test players for now.
Yeah.
Playing against associate nations in tests, right, or in 4-day matches.
Yeah.
So I think great shout. For me, I think we need more associate players in franchise cricket. And I think specifically for the USA, we've already have like USA. We already have a pretty good stronghold in the CPL, right? As one league. But I think every
the Caribbean,
right?
CPL is the Caribbean.
Yeah, Caribbean Premier League. Yeah,
Premier League. Yeah.
And like Ali Khan plays for TSK, and a lot of US players I think play in the CPL. But for every single team, right, every single associate team, they need to spend time to find a talent that is good enough to play in these franchise leagues. It does. They don't necessarily need to send them away for franchise cricket because maybe then national team like responsibility goes down. But the point is that they need players who can survive or thrive, not just survive, thrive in those leagues. And I think especially in the batting, right? If we look at this associate 11, the openers are weak, right? In a T20 match, you can't have a weak opening pair.
Yeah.
Both average strike rate have like 120 in this World Cup, right? That's not going to allow you to compete consistently against the top teams. So I think for them to find the batsmen who can take it to the best bowlers, they need to find players who can play in these franchise leagues.
I agree. Interestingly, I think coaching-wise, it has happened though that there are really good, experienced cricket players do take up coaching jobs with these associate team, which is really good, right? Because that's how you learn from these veterans. So, in general, in life, almost everyone thinks, "What's in it for me? What's in it for me?" So, what's in it for developing associate teams for the full member team? I think you have to create incentives. Maybe exactly what you said. Hey, if you have some fringe players and you want them to have, there's no better way to practice than to play matches, right? That's an old adage. And maybe have those matches in a more, in conditions where you want your players to develop, right?
Yeah,
or pick an associate team that has good spin attack and then play against them if you want to build skills against spin as an example, right? Find what you can get out of it, because the best situation is win-win, right? Nobody should be doing this as a favor to anyone. Win-win. Find a situation where both the full member teams, even if it's B or C squad, and associate can get things out of it. So again, we touched upon this so much during our World Cup coverage. I have seen again, right, going back in time, I have seen Sri Lanka become a full squad. They were not at some point. I've seen Zimbabwe and Bangladesh become full squad, and then Ireland and Afghanistan become full squad or full member, I should say. So things they do change. So, and you just have to keep pushing the envelope. So awesome. What else you want to cover, Siddharth?
Yeah. So just best player real quick in the associate. 30 seconds. Who is it?
I was actually going to pick Bas the lead.
No, I would say that a great shout for me. I think Dipendra Singh. He really showed his quality, But Ben Menenti is coming, man. He's coming. I'm telling you, he's good. And then the best associate team.
Best associate team. Best associate team. That's a tough one. I was actually going to pick Nepal. I mean they had that one match, but they almost beat England. All ends up. So I was gonna pick Nepal just from that performance. I mean USA definitely still a contender, but I was gonna pick Nepal.
Yeah, so for me, you hit the nail right on the head, right? This World Cup demonstrated who the three best associate teams are: Netherlands, USA, and Nepal. So
Yep.
for me, I would say Netherlands. To me, has the best players. Combination of players. I think Nepal is just that little bit weaker in the batting than Netherlands is.
Mm.
Um, so and USA, I think USA cricket stock is rising rapidly. They just need to figure out their USA board of cricket nonsense that's going on constantly. So once that is figured out, I think the quality of players that are being developed in the USA right now is going to shine soon. So USA, big up and comers, and again, I have to shout out Italy. I knew they'd get their first win in this tournament.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
called that at the beginning. So
Definitely.
got to shout out my risers, Italy, and then Namibia was actually quite disappointing in this tournament.
Mm.
Oman, Oman, I knew they weren't that good. UAE, I think their squad is aging now a bit too much, so they're not good enough anymore. So yeah, Netherlands for me, best.
Interesting, right? Because it's kind of the match that we had talked about. The first match of the World Cup wasn't it Netherlands Pakistan match?
Yeah.
And we had said,
Yep.
yeah. And I didn't pick USA because for some reason in my head they are. I mean, they are. I cannot just say they are number one associate team because they have been number one for a while, right? They need to what does they say? Break that ceiling. They got to go to the next level, right? They show a lot of
Yeah.
promise.
I mean, they
Right,
got
they gotta
so
do that.
unlucky again.
Yeah.
They got. I think they're getting screwed over by like the spectatorship, right, of the games.
Mm.
Everyone wants to see USA India. Everyone wants to see Pakistan India. Everyone wants to see USA Pakistan, right? So because of that, they've just been put in the same group as India and Pakistan.
Yeah.
And in this case, they even had Namibia and Netherlands. So
Mm.
hopefully they
Mm.
get a fair drawing this next come around.
Yeah.
They don't have to play India and Pakistan.
Any other? I mean, I think this kind of wraps up our World Cup coverage, so to say. Right? We wanted to talk
Mhm.
about Associate 11. Definitely, we are missing Jatan today. When he joins in our next episode, we'll definitely get his take. I'm sure he'll bring something super interesting and fun about Associate 11. But other than that, I mean, we kind of wrapping up the World Cup and looking ahead. So, anything interesting happening in the world of cricket, Siddharth, you want to talk about?
Yeah, a few things. I mean, there hasn't actually been too much cricket going on. There's been Bangladesh's tour of Pakistan, or maybe the other way around, where Bangladesh actually won the ODI series against Pakistan. So
Yeah.
Pakistan is really still feeling that, that exit from the T20 World Cup, and their form hasn't really improved in this ODI series. Then over to the women's forum, Australia women's toured Indies. Alana King won the Player of the Series award in that one, and Georgia Vole scored a beautiful century in the final match. Ben Duckett pulls out of the IPL to focus on his Test career, right? So this was a
Ooh.
player who, after the India tour of England over the summer, right? Who can forget that Lord's match that we were at, eh?
Yep.
Uh,
With you, by the way, so slight tangent, but during the Lord's Test match, you were on the screen, Siddharth, when Rahul got out. You got your
Yeah,
own
I-
screen time.
Yeah, I got some screen time. I got some international TV, dare I say, time. So, That was
Anyway.
very exciting.
Yes.
But yeah, anyways, Duckett, he pulled out of the IPL. He'll get that 2-year ban that Harry Brook also got for withdrawing from the IPL for very similar reasons. Focusing on his country. Duckett at 31 probably, like, we'll see, depending on how England goes for him. Maybe if he crashes out of the squad, he might turn to franchise cricket as, in the waning years of his career. But I think the biggest news, so far is RCB's sale to the Aditya
Yeah.
Birla Group. Times of India, David Blitzer, who owns many sports teams across the world, and notorious Blackstone as well. So investing firm Blackstone. So big news. A lot of foreign investment coming into the IPL. 1.78 billion US dollars, more than the sale of the Gujarat Titans, in 20.
Even Royals, right? Rajasthan Royals got sold recently to another consortium.
Yep. But of course, RCB would be, much more valuable than, Rajasthan.
As a brand.
I
As
think
a brand. Yeah,
as a brand, right, with Kohli and Bangalore as a city as well.
definitely.
But crazy,
market.
huge, massive news. Yeah. And huge for the IPL, right? So,
For sure.
no. Do you have anything else to add to that?
Not really. Actually, I was gonna bring up the IPL sale, and then few tours coming up. I think in the summer, India is touring England. So I am personally thinking about already 2027 and the ODI World Cup, and maybe plan a trip to the southern hemisphere to catch some of that action. I know it's way out there, but time flies. Yeah, nothing else. So I think we can wrap, Siddharth, if that's cool. And just to say, we're definitely missing Jatan. He'll be back, I'm sure, next episode. So nothing else. This is it from Prashant and Siddharth. Ciao. Good night.
Thank you for listening.
Peace out.
Peace out.
This episode was produced by Mukta Phatak. Music by Joe Reynolds.